license just yet. All I had was my learner's permit. I was determined to drive my new car to school on the first day, okay? All of my friends were driving, so I wanted to drive too. But in order to do that, I actually had to have my driver's license. So I made it my absolute business to get my license before school started. One day, my mom and I went to the DMV. Pause. Have you guys noticed that I mention my mom in like every secret? I don't do it on purpose, it just kind of happens. I guess that just goes to show how amazing she is, right? So anyway, we go to the DMV. I tell them what I'm there for, and they give me a number, and then I have to wait until they call my number, right? I had already taken and passed my written test, so now all I had to do was take my actual driving test. If I passed it, I would not be walking out the same way that I walked in. No, no, no. I would be walking out just a tad bit heavier because I would have a driver's license in my wallet. So as I'm sitting there waiting for my number to be called, the people who got there before me are going out to take their test and they're coming back in, right? I noticed one of two things happening whenever someone would come back inside from taking their test. Either they come back inside super happy and then they go to the back to take their picture and they receive their license, or they come back inside only to get the person that they came there with, and then they have to do the freaking walk of shame out of the building because they failed their test. At this point, I'm super nervous. My palms are sweating and everything. I did not want to be one of those people who had to do the walk of shame. And I also didn't want to be the only person not driving to school on the first day. I knew how to drive. I knew what to do and what not to do, but I wasn't a seasoned driver just yet. So they finally call my number. Me and the driving instructor, we go outside to my car and we hop in. Then the test begins. So everything is going so well during my driving test. I'm doing everything right. The closer I get to returning back to the DMV parking lot, the more I'm able to kind of shake off the nervousness because I had done so well and I just knew that I was going to get my license that day. So we finally returned to the parking lot. I park and everything, and then the driving instructor, she's like, "You actually did very well, but I won't be able to issue you a driver's license today because you failed to stop at a stop sign, and that is something that we take very serious." I am baffled. My heart completely sank, okay? I wanted to cry so bad. I definitely didn't recall running a stop sign. So I'm like, what stop sign did I not stop at? She says, "That one right there." Lo and freaking behold, there's a big red octagon right there in front of me next to a tree. And I surely don't remember stopping at it. So the instructor says, "Just come back next week and you can retake the test." We're walking back to the building and I am beyond sad. I had so many different thoughts running through my head. Maybe I shook a little bit too much nervousness off. I'm not going home with my license. Oh truly sparked my curiosity. What is this Nair stuff and why should I not touch it? By now, I'm kind of upset. I did not like the fact that there was something off limits to me. All because I was too young. So I had to prove to myself that I could, in fact, use whatever this stuff was without a problem. Because I'm smarter than you think I am, Mom. So I go into my sister's bathroom. I shut the door behind me and I proceed to remove the Nair from the cabinet. Me being me, I read the instructions to see how it worked. Afterward, I decided that I would use the Nair on my armpit because that was kind of like a place where no one would be able to notice that there was any hair missing. Get this, I hadn't even started growing hair from my armpits yet. Anyway, so I squeeze some of the Nair out and I rub it on my armpit.